folks. Well, even though we've known it for more or less a couple of months now, it's official. Toronto's playing Tampa in the playoffs, round one. But which Leafs are going to be suiting up? Acciari, Murry, 60, 70. You've got questions? Listen, we got answers for you. We're going to break it all down for you right here on the OZone.
You're in the offensive zone, your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey folks, welcome to the OZone. That's Coach. That's Katie. I'm the Devo, and we're here to talk all things Leafs. I'm coming to you from downtown Toronto. Deep in the heart of Toronto at HQOZ. Coach, where are you at today?
Yeah, I believe that's OZ for me, fellas. I'm back here in the U.S., in Texas. Hey, 80 and sunny today, guys. Good spring.
Son of a. Katie, how about you? How's the east side?
Well, east side's all right. We're eating our souvlaki, getting ready, carbing up, ready for playoffs. Carb loading.
All right. Carb loading. Carb loading. Yeah, you got to do it, folks. Give it a shot. And while you're giving it a shot, just remember to hit subscribe and ring the bell. You'll never miss any content. You don't want to miss any content. Start sharing this stuff. Get it out to your friends, family. Send it to your mom. You haven't talked to her in a while. Also, you know the drill. We need your comments. We got mailbags coming up pretty soon. Drop a comment on this video, and we'll respond. We always do. Helps us get better. Okay, lots to get to today. Sort of an up and down weekend, right? Back-to-back games. Those are always tough. Dominant shutout win against Ottawa. A disappointing loss versus Detroit. Let's start with the ups and downs on the weekend, and maybe Coach, I'm going to start with you on that. What'd you see?
Well, first and foremost, I think we all hope Matt Murray's okay. Big-time injury, troubles that he's had. And then this freak thing happens, can't see it, doesn't have a chance to brace himself. We're going to get into that in a bit, but I think we all hope he's okay. Ilya Samsonov was great against Ottawa. All right, another shutout. I think he's fourth in the league in shutouts now. Top 10 in save percentage again, back in there. So he was terrific. That's the good part about Samsonov. And he's my man, right?
Yep.
I told him. So, but here's the thing that I didn't like. So it's a back-to-back, right? Mm-hmm. He's probably the number one, although I think there was still some rumblings before that injury that Murray might be. He's got more playoff experience. And so he plays that game, and he's dinged up. And he's been dinged up, minor stuff for a while. You play a back-to-back, you got Joe Wall around. Why would he even dress? Why is he dressing for that Detroit game, guys?
Yep.
If he's off, he's off. Dress
Yep.
Joe Wall as the backup. So he's got to come in. No one foresaw that, obviously, right? And he came in. He admitted he's a little tight, a little sore. He actually had a fairly strong workout in the morning knowing he wasn't going to play. So why even do that? He came in. He's pretty good. First goal wasn't great. But, he gave him a chance. Here's the other thing I liked about the last two games. So wholesale changes from the team that played Ottawa and then the team against Detroit last night. We'll get into the lineup stuff too. I really like seeing Connor Timmins. That guy has not played since February 25th. And he comes in, and he's got to play his left side, or his offside, right? He's got to play left. And he was good. Now, his pass, Lafferty can't handle. That was the first goal against. But as Keefe said, he made confident plays. So he's not a factor unless we run into a whole bunch of injuries, right, in the playoffs. But, hey, that's good. That's good. It's good to see him in. And, he had a pretty good stretch for us. So why not use him a little bit? I was glad to see that, too.
Yeah, and future looks bright. He needs to wear shades, right? He'll be in next year. Probably we can almost more than pencil him in at this point because there's going to be some changes on the back end for sure. Katie, what did you think about the two games we saw this past weekend?
Yeah, well, again, some more inconsistency, and let's chalk it up to knowing what you're about to go into and being in cruise control mode. So we'll give it that. I think what we saw though with the way they treated the goalies, I mean, I think we know who the number one is. I think it's officially, carved in stone. I mean, you start your starter in the game one, and you played Murray when you could easily have done it the other way around and had Murray play his old team, and do the Samsonov at home where he's really strong.
Sure.
You change it
Yep.
up. So I really do think that was also maybe a subtle sign from Keefe that this is the hierarchy of the goalie situation. Um, it was a dog's breakfast. Another game they probably should have won. Outchanced the team.
Yeah.
Could not score when they had penalty shots and breakaways. A few bad mistakes or bad bounces against some of the D. However, some soft play by the forwards, which I'm getting a little concerned about. A horrific play by Nylander on one of the goals there.
Yeah.
We got to tighten this stuff up. I like Coach. I like Timmins playing. I think he probably deserved to play a little sooner than that, or probably should have got in there. I would like to see him play a bunch more with this load management. He doesn't look like he's lost out there, and it's not like a major step downward. So I don't know why he doesn't play a bunch over these next couple games and give some guys some breaths. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. And somewhere, Coach brought a really good point that we need at some point to play the lineup and get a sense of it. We haven't because O'Reilly and maybe Acciari's been hurt, but I would really like to get a sense of that top six and maybe get a sense of the D for a game or two, and then kind of go back into cruise control and get that going. And the power play is not sharp at all. So can that sharpen up before the playoffs? Sure. Should I be super stressed? No, but this is Leaf Nation and the Yanks beater is up here. So
For sure.
I would sure like to see like a full effort, the full lineup in there, 1 or 2 games, maybe some ass kicking, and then get back to grazing and drifting into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Katie, I think you brought this up even a week ago. You flagged that this back-to-back was really going to maybe be a bit of a Keefe showing his hand about where he thinks the goalies are. And you're absolutely right. Samsonov playing the road game against Ottawa, you would think it's official. He's the starter. That's something you can glean from that, I think, without question. It was a disappointing loss against Detroit. There's one other thing I wanted to jump in on there, KD. You brought this up. The Leafs are in kind of this tricky situation. There's not a lot of time left to get those settle games where all right, this is our lineup. This is what we're going to show. And then, we're going to rest it out. Are they actually going to have enough runway to do that? I mean, if you're going to play Timmins some more, and we don't know when Acciari's coming back. O'Reilly, I think we assume, is going to be back next game or the game after. It should be imminent, right? I'm with you. I would love to sort of get a sense that this is the lineup, and we're going to play it a couple of games, and then maybe play the Marlies for a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know if there's enough runway. What do you think about that, Coach?
Well, it's difficult to. So you get Columbus next. I don't know that you prove anything. It'd be good to get the line set, perhaps, I suppose. The Boston game is interesting to me. Do you load up and say this is how we're starting game one and go there in the Garden and risk getting the crap kicked out of you with that lineup and then have some indecision? Or do you make that be hey, we're resting Gio and Riley and all these, and Marner and all these guys, right? And then try and get it back against Montreal. But that's this week. But you want to get it settled this week, right? Because Florida, Tampa, Rangers to end it, you don't want any stress. So is there enough time? Yeah, but we're kind of running out of it.
Yeah, we're running out. I think we're running out. I really do. And the fact that Acciari's still out, the fact that we don't necessarily know when O'Reilly's going to be back, although I do think it might be tomorrow night. It's hard to get that lineup set. That's really tricky. Kev, you mentioned the top six. That's one thing. I really want to get the third, like an official third line. This is going to be like our third line. Whatever doesn't make it to the third line can spill out. We can cobble together a decent fourth line to eat a few minutes here and there, but that third line is going to be the one that matters, right? So Anyways, let's get on to this Murray injury here. It was tough. I think, Coach, you mentioned tough to watch. Bit of a freak play. He's had that history, and that's the thing that's a bit disconcerting. Lots of concussion problems. So it looks like this might be a little bit more than just I just got to shake the cobwebs out for a couple of days. Is that really what you want for your number two heading into the last week of hockey before the postseason? Even if you expect Samsonov to really start every game, do you feel really comfortable with Murray back there, or do you have to already start looking somewhere else? Coach, I'll go with you first on this one.
Yeah, well, aside from the fact that we never want to see a guy hurt, and it's unfortunate he's had some trouble. Guys, I think there might be a silver lining here with a short-term injury, and bear with me here, a silver lining if there's a long-term injury. Now, I'm not a big Murray fan, and he's been outplayed this year. He's been average, right? He's been average. Even if he was signed for a contract commensurate with his play, he's still the second guy here, right? Sure. Short term, here's why I think it might benefit us. If he misses a few, but then he gets back and he's ready to go for the playoffs, at least he's played a game or two, it removes any inkling in his own mind that he should be starting. So I think he thinks he's the guy. He's done it before, right? And I think Samsonov is doing a little of this, right? Even if he knows he's the starter, he's a nice guy. He says good things about everybody. But he's got to be a little like this. A little bit maybe like Campbell when he took the crease from Fred. So now there's none of that anymore. We just hope he gets back and he's a viable number two. That's fine. That's short term, right? And I hope that happens. But longer term, of course, there's more risk with Joseph Wall being your backup. But there is no doubt, just like last year where Shalgren was the backup, there's no doubt Samsonov's playing the whole way. And but look, Joe Wall's been promising, guys. And I know it's way too much to expect, just like it was too much to expect in 1986 when Patrick Roy came in. And in 2019, when Jordan Binnington came in. I mean, or 1972 when Ken Dryden came in. Or what was the year where we had Grant Fuhr and Felix Potvin in his rookie season beat him out? We traded Grant Fuhr to Buffalo. We went on that run. So I'm just saying it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But I don't feel so bad about Joseph Wall being the second one. I'm trying to be glass half full guy here.
What do you think, Katie?
I mean, unfortunate injury. I mean, it's kind of the one area of the whole goaltender's body that's not very well protected is the back of the head. I think it's all very true. Like I think it takes away the doubt, which is fine. I don't know if the answer is you want your backup goalie coming off a head injury and not playing before going into the playoffs is ideal either. But certainly, like, he played some good minutes for Toronto, and he's played good minutes in his career. So knowing he's there and healthy brings me a little bit more easy a feeling and having a kid who might be good, 2 or 3 years from now. So I think I would do that. I mean, I think we've all unanimously said that we'd like to have Samsonov in as the direct starter from now till then. But having the guy there behind him I don't think that hurts. I don't think there's any cap issues anyways. Probably a silver lining maybe is that you probably can not have to worry about moving anyone in or out or down. I guess you can hold more people in the playoffs. I don't know if you can do that at the moment, but
I don't think it matters.
I don't know if it matters at the moment. So I think it's just a matter of let's see where he is. Let's get him back on track, and then Samsonov. I mean, ideally too, we see Wall play 2 of these games. I really don't want to see Samsonov play all five or 6 of them. I don't think there's any reason for him to play more than 3 games. And go and but as we were talking about with the forwards too, goaltender is a little different in that you're playing or you're not. mean, one thing you can do with the front lines, even if they don't get the rest, you don't have to play Matthews 22 minutes. You can play him 15.
Yeah.
And when the goalie plays, the goalie plays. He's either playing or
Yeah.
he's not. So, and he's got to play full when he plays. So, I like to see him out more than more. Actually, through 6 games, I don't want to see him play more than 3 games.
Guys, there was a bit of a rumor going around, and I guess it was caught. And I mean, he substantiated himself, but apparently officials are saying it didn't happen. But apparently, the emergency backup goaltender for that game was Kuja. He was seen carrying a bag down after Murray went down. I mean, could you have imagined what the buzz in the arena would have been if all of a sudden they announced his name and he came skating out? That would have been something.
In my heart, he was the E-bug. I'm not going to listen to anyone's opinions either. In my heart and in my head, I'm going to think that he was the E-bug for the one game. So there we go.
Hey, fellas, he's 55 years old. In that bag was Rub A535 and a bunch of braces. He's got his knee braces in there, his back brace in there. Come on, man. 55. But I'll tell you what, would we have been talking about anything else if that had happened today? It would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, we got bumps and bruises on this team. Guys in and out of the lineup, obviously. Some of it's good, load management, as you were saying, KD. I think that's what we can take advantage of. I don't think there's a real risk of us losing home ice advantage between now and the end of the year, quite frankly. If you look at the numbers, it would be an 18-wheeler going off a cliff kind of deal for them to end up in third place. It's happened before, but Katie, let's start with you. What are you worried about? Guys missing time? Are you worried about guys that are playing too much? Maybe. What are you thinking about in terms of managing this lineup as we get into the upcoming games? Columbus, Boston, Montreal. What are you thinking here?
I think you work on a couple of the finer points. Like I think you want to work on a few things like D-zone coverage on faceoffs and get the power play working, get certain personnel out there on the power play and on the penalty kill. Again, I'm sort of a fan of the load management within the game. Like there's no reason to run any of the guys. Brody shouldn't be playing. No D should play more than 22 minutes in any of these games. Ideally, none of them play more than 20. Same with the forwards. Like you don't need to play them a ton. There's lots of different combinations we could go. I'd still like to see them play, and I'd love to see them work on that power play from now to the end of the year. But like if Matthews happens to play 15 or 16 minutes a game from now till then, I'd feel pretty good. If he took a day off, that wouldn't bother me either. I think Tavares should probably take a day off. I'd like to see Gio take a day. Certainly Brody, certainly McCabe. Like, and if not, like have them play 12, 13 minutes in the game. If we're going to suit 7D and then load manage during the game. So that's like we're out of runway, or we're running out of runway. We're not going to get a perfect before playoffs. So let's at least try and get us healthy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I would like to see O'Reilly come back and maybe have another kick at the can at the power play. Maybe try some different configurations there. They need to get that thing a little bit sharper. They need to tune that up before the postseason. Coach, what do you think? Same question. It's tricky, right? We're running out of time. You want to get the perfect lineup in to sort of get everyone used to their partners, but at the same time, what's more important?
Yeah, those are like this right now, aren't they? Because, we talked earlier just tonight about you'd like to see the set lineup and get some consistency, and yet you don't really want to overplay guys, right? So it's tough. It's a little bit like this. So I would say, I'm all for guy like Gio rested again. That's great. I think to get Timmins in, a lot of guys have to rest because he's clearly the eighth guy, right? Or ninth or whatever. Ninth, yeah. So, I like it. I like the idea. It's a tough balance, staying sharp but staying fresh. Right. Am I concerned? Yeah, well, I'm concerned with a couple of guys though. So, injury-wise, right? Concern, like you said, Devo. Does O'Reilly get back and get into a groove? He's got to play. He's got to play all the games that left that he can because he's been off, and he's got to make sure he can handle the puck and all that good stuff and get into a groove. I'm really worried about Noel Acciari, guys. I mean, he's been day-to-day. He's been day-to-day for a while, and they say it's whiplash. And I think when Keith talked about it a few days ago, he said there's no timetable. We don't think it's serious. No timetable for his return. No timetable for his return. That guy's become really important. He's Pierre Engvall with grit. I really would like to see that guy in, and for a couple of games before. And then the last one I'll say I'm worried about. We haven't talked about this guy in a while. Devo or Kev, you mentioned it earlier. Just very briefly, it has nothing to do with injury. It has to do with getting going. Guys, the MVP, I think we'd all say, at the midway point of this season for the Leafs was William Nylander.
Yeah.
He's leading the team in goals and points at that time. He was hot, right? Where is that guy now? We got to figure out a way to get him going. Is that playing more? I don't think it's playing less. But if he's not going, we got a real problem with one of the lines in the top 6. Or, if you'll recall, let me take you back 12 months ago. He wasn't going then either. And going into the playoffs, he ends up on the third line. Now, it was supposed to be so we were 3 balance lines. Wasn't that? It was that he wasn't going. And I dropped an F-bomb after one of those playoff games podcasts. He's just so frustrating to watch when he's not going. It looks like he doesn't care. We got to get that guy going again. And so I like what you're saying, Kev, in-game load management. Nobody should play a lot. Maybe he needs to, though. We got to get him going.
Yeah.
So I was talking with KD earlier today. I want to just drop this point in here because I think it's very salient. It doesn't maybe directly correlate because he's been kind of a bit shaky for a while now. But when they changed up that first line and he stopped playing with Matthews, we started seeing things really disappear for him. I'm just putting that out there. Similarly, what's happened to 5-on-5 goals for Tavares? Well, who's his winger? Nylander. So you want to talk about some of the things that have happened in the last couple months with the Leafs and the cooling off? Well, maybe it's because you swapped out all the guys that were working with each other. Just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, guys, I think we talked about this a little while ago, right? We said, where does O'Reilly slot in? I think we all want him in the top 6.
Yep.
And I know those two kids like to play with on the same line, Matthews and Marner. But I would have Marner, O'Reilly, and Tavares. They were good for a very brief time. Let's do that. If you look at Matthews, the last game and a half, midway through the second against Ottawa and all of the next game, he played with neither of those guys. He played with Yarncroc and Bunting. Could he have a line, hold its own without any of those guys? Now we're super deep if that happens. So, I think you're on. I would have Marner with Tavares, though.
Yeah, and throw Nylander on there with him. If you want to get Nylander going, put him on there with Matthews. He played great. He also played defense. When you watch Matthews skating around, taking the puck from guys, he did the same thing. It was the best we've seen him play in a few years.
Yeah, where is that guy? Where is he?
He's not with Matthews anymore. That's my point.
Well,
all right, folks.
I'm gonna argue a little bit here. I think with Nylander over the next little while, I would like the experiment of demoting him to the third line. His descent started way before they took him off Matthews' line, and if he's going to get rewarded by playing crappy hockey by putting him with Matthews, I think we're sending kind of a wrong message here. So I would like to see before the playoffs get him going. If he happens to be going and you put him on Matthews, that's one thing, but I don't want to go into the playoffs a cold Nylander turning a cold 34 to cold, or you ain't winning first round.
Yeah, okay. That I don't disagree with that, and that's certainly not Keith's style. He hasn't typically done that, but here we go, folks. The egg meter's starting to go.
Listen, folks, such a good mood.
We have half a dozen games left before we open up against Tampa. The coach is about to go into full prayer mode any moment now as we keep marching down the stretch. One thing is certain. 100% certain. We've got you covered, and we got you covered right here on the OZone. See you soon.